What's up, Periscope Tycran?
So, today we are going to continue our process through the business credit building, or continue our training walking through the business credit building process. So, to kind of give you a refresher where we've been, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I think we're on like scope 28, 29, 30 now. So we're going on a lot of scopes. That's like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months we've been doing this. We started with business credit a long time ago. We jumped to financing. We jumped to business credit scoring. Now we're back to business credit by popular demand. A lot of people have requested this. So what we talked about last week was, last week was getting your actual business credit reports, getting set up with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. Afternoon. Thanks for coming. So if you missed that, make sure you jump back to creditsuite.com. Thank you for the great comment. I appreciate that. Great content. I appreciate that. Make sure you go to creditsuite.com/scope, and at creditsuite.com/scope, we have all of our Periscopes. You can access all of them. Even though Periscope only gives you access for 24 hours, we record them. We put them live on our website so you can actually have them. Hey, Prince, welcome. You can even have all of the ones that we've done in the past. So if you look back to last week, we talked about the second step in building your business credit, which is getting set up with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. If you missed that, go check it out. I showed you exactly how to search the reporting agencies to see if you have a business credit report or not. Remember, a lot of people have bad business credit scores just because the reporting agency knows you exist, even if you have no credit, good or bad. And I showed you examples of that on real credit reports last week. The week before that, I talked about step 1 here, right here. And step 1 is to make sure your business is set up credibly. Everybody wants to skip this step. Everybody wants to just jump in and start getting approved. I get it. We live in an instant gratification society. But the reality is if you jump in and start applying without making sure you're set up credibly, you're going to get denied. You're not going to know why. And then you're going to be on the live streams going, I applied for Office Depot and I don't know why. And then I'm going to ask, did you skip step 1? You're going to say yes, and then you're back to where you started. So make sure you go to creditsuite.com/scope, go back through scope 1 and 2, or the last 2 scopes we've done, to walk you through step 1 and 2 of this process. Today we're going to talk about getting initial business credit. We're going to talk about how you can get business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your SSN, even if you have no business credit established already. They want to give me a chance. I tried that. I'm back. They want to give me a chance. Okay, good. So I'm not exactly sure what that was about, but good. I'm glad you're getting a chance. So thank you for the love and thank you for the shares. So today what we're going to talk about is this, and here's how this works. Think of it like this. You are going to start building business credit for your business credit report, right? And this is right up here, this little credit report that's linked to your EIN, that's linked to your business. That's the goal. But in order to do it, we cannot let them pull this credit report. We do not want them to pull your personal credit report that's linked to you. We need them to make the approval decision based on this business credit report that's linked to your business. But hey, welcome, Jarvis. First day on Periscope. Congratulations. Welcome. So here's the problem. The problem is that how do you get credit when you have no credit, right? This is the catch-22 that we've all been exposed to before. Well, today I'm going to teach you how to do that. What we've got to do for you is we've got to build an initial business credit profile and score. There's 3 things it takes to start getting credit at Office Depot and Amazon and all the stores, to start getting fleet credit, to start getting Visa cards and MasterCards. There's something that has to happen first. And there's really 3 things that have to happen before you can start to get revolving credit. The application didn't allow me to skip my personal info. Nor will they. A lot of applications are going to ask for your social. Leaving your personal info is okay. Just keep in mind, on applications, all applications, well, a lot of them will ask for your social. It does not mean you need to provide it. So if you leave your social security number blank, and I'll show you exactly how this works. So you're going to get an application, and the application is going to ask for your personal social security number, right? Well, here's the thing. You don't have to give them the social. If you skip it, if you do not give somebody your social security number, then they cannot pull your consumer credit report. Then what happens is you force them to pull your business credit report. And if you have some items here, which today I'm going to show you how to get items here, then they'll make the approval decision based on what's on this, even without this. So don't think that applications will just stop asking you for this. They won't. They're still going to ask for this. The key is to not give them this, to leave this field blank. Now, you never want to put something else in place of this number. That's illegal. You can't ever put anything in place of your social. But what you can do is you can leave this blank And then when you leave it blank, they cannot pull your consumer credit report. They have to pull your business credit report. Now, some people will say to me, I'm trying to apply online and the application forces me to provide a social. I can't submit an online application without my social. So in that case, what you got to do is call them or fax them an application. If you call and fax them, insist on applying for credit without giving your social, they will proceed with your application. But if you ask online and they make you, then obviously what's going to happen is you're not going to have any success. Oh, Big Young, you're out of here. See ya. Okay, so that's what really matters, all right? What really comes down to is this. If you want to get business credit without your social, then the best way, welcome. I love cats. It's the first, I love it. I like your name. That's awesome. So, hey, welcome. So the biggest thing to remember when building corporate credit is this, okay? The biggest thing to remember is that you want to make sure that you come in and leave your social security number off the application. Otherwise, they're always going to provide, or they're always going to pull your personal credit. You're always going to have a personal guarantee. So if you truly want to build credit for your business that's not linked to your personal social, man, I love cats. Why waste people's time? Makes no sense. You're out of here. Okay, so that being said, hey, Credit by Creations, welcome. So that being said, what's important is that you make sure you leave your social security number off the application. Never put anything in the place of a social security number on an application. It's illegal. But if you leave your social blank, as Christine, who's on here, will tell you, then what happens is you force them, and the question is why? Well, the answer is simple. Because if you provide a social security number on an application for business credit, then what they will do is they will then pull your personal credit and make the approval decision based on your personal credit quality. Create a second credit profile that's linked to your EIN, not another credit profile that's linked to your social, to completely create a separate credit profile. If you go to creditsuite.com/legit, you'll see Entrepreneur, you'll see Inc., you'll see SBA, NASDAQ, Score, you'll see all of them giving you advice on building your business credit. But keep in mind, what is illegal is to actually put anything in place of your actual social security number. That's the one thing that you got to avoid. Never put anything in its place. So if you're filling out an online application and they're asking for your social, then what you do is just leave it blank. If they make you provide it, then call or fax them an application, and then you can get approved with that. But there's a catch, and here's the catch. The catch is you're not going to get credit if you don't have any credit. Hey, Regina, welcome. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm glad you're here. You're not going to get credit unless you have credit. There's 3 things you have to have for this process to work. 1, trade lines reporting to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, or Experian. A trade line, or sometimes called a payment experiences, is the reporting of an account to the business credit reporting agencies. If you have an account reporting to the business credit reporting agencies, that counts as a trade line on your credit report. Once you have enough trade lines on your credit report, D&B, for example, wants 3, then they give you a credit profile and a credit score on your report. If you have those 3 things, then you can start getting store credit cards, Visa cards, MasterCards, fleet credit cards without a personal guarantee, without even asking or without even providing a personal credit check. But before this can happen, you have to do what we're going to talk about today. So Regina says, what is a CPN? Well, a CPN is completely different than what we're talking about today. And I'll tell you exactly what it is so you know. Can you YouTube this so I can go back and review? Absolutely, all of our scopes you'll be able to now find on YouTube. You can also go to creditsuite.com/scope, and creditsuite.com/scope, you can access our previous scopes. So Regina, here's your questions. You asked what a CPN is. A CPN number is called a credit privacy number. It is a legitimate number. It is intended for people that demand extreme privacy. So people in witness protection, senators, sometimes very big movie stars. These type of people need special protection. They need their social security number. They need their information protected. So they get what's called credit privacy numbers. Here's the problem. People try to use CPN numbers in place of their social security number because they have damaged personal credit, and that's illegal. Because using anything in place of your social security number is illegal. So if you think you're going to use a CPN to apply for credit, you can't do that. It's against the law, because the minute you put anything in place of a social security number field on an application, you break the law. But There is no law that says that you have to provide a social security number. If you leave the social security number blank, you're forcing the credit issuer to pull your business credit. Then they make the approval based on the business credit. If your business credit report has trade lines, which gives you a credit profile and gives you a credit score, and if you paid your bills as agreed and have a good score, then you can start to get. Here is right here. This is our goal. And this is our goal. Our goal is to create a credit profile and score report linked to your EIN that's linked to your business, and a credit report that's separate from your personal credit report that's linked to you as an individual. To do this, we have to start letting you be able to get approved for credit like Staples and Lowe's and AutoZone and all these places by leaving your social security number off the application, not allowing them to pull personal credit, and still giving you an approval. Well, how does that happen? Simple. We do what we're going to talk about today. We build these guys. We put vendor credit accounts on your credit report. Then what happens is you go to apply, let's say, for a Staples credit card. You say, no Staples, you can't have my social. Staples cannot pull this. Staples says, okay, Mr. Applicant, you're applying for a business credit card, so we will pull this instead. We don't need your permission to pull this. So they pull this report. They see these trade lines reporting, that they see that you paid your bills as agreed. Remember, your business credit scores are based on how you pay. If you paid your bills promptly, on time, or early, you get a good score. They see that you have those trade lines. They see that you have good scores, and they make the approval decision based on the quality of this report. Now again, this report is separate from your personal report. So even if this is horrible, or no matter how good or bad this is, it won't matter, because they're not pulling your personal credit report, they're pulling your business credit report. And if you have some of these guys, about 5 accounts, and you paid them as agreed or early, then you can start to get approved for store credit. Now, again, here's some real approvals. Christina's on with us. Mark, I'm not sure if he's on with us today. Here's what's possible. $7,500 Apple accounts and $3,500 Amazon, $4,500 fleet credit cards. And the approvals get higher and higher. $12,500 at Apple, $20,000 at Costco, $40,000 at Best Buy. None of this credit associated security number was applied for. None of it. As a matter of fact, as Christine said, they don't even ask for it when you get to this point, because what happens is your business credit is so established and strong that they don't need that personal credit anymore. Guys, that's what a person... You look at the definition of a personal guarantee, it's something that's required when your business doesn't have enough credit to stand on its own. So our goal together has to be to give your business enough credit to stand on its own, and then they stop asking or wanting or demanding your social because they don't need it. Your business has enough credit to start qualifying for financing based on its own merits, instead of you as an individual needing to guarantee instead of the risk. This is how all the big guys do it, right? Okay, Michael Dell isn't guaranteeing what credit Dell is obtaining as a company because the company can stand on its own. It doesn't need him to do so. What most people don't know is even startups can accomplish exactly the same thing. Even a startup can build enough corporate credit under your EIN where they don't need your personal credit or guarantee to be able to issue the credit. The business is standing on its own. The business has its own credit profile. It has its own credit score. It has its own trade lines. And that's what these guys' computers look at and then automatically issue you approvals. So somebody's asking, does the business credit card have your name on it? It'll have your name and the company name, but there's a big difference. If you didn't supply your social, it won't report to the personal credit reporting agencies. It only reports to the business credit reporting agencies. And the approval decision is based only on your business credit quality, not your personal credit quality, okay? So big difference. But it will have your name because you're the authorized user of the card and your company name. Now, let's look at another example. Capital One Spark Card is the opposite of this. It has your business name and personal name, but it reports to your personal credit report and it requires a personal credit check for approval. Those are the cards you do not want. You do not want to go with a lot of the cards that are out there, like Capital One, that require a personal credit check and report to the personal credit reporting agencies. It's a big problem, and I'll show you why. Spark card, for example, reports to your consumer credit reports, but 30% of your FICO score is utilization, how much of your score you're utilizing. So if you get a Capital One Spark card that reports on your consumer credit report, then it adversely affects the new credit you're obtaining. It puts inquiries on your credit report, which affects 10% of your score. Then it reports on your personal credit report, and as you use the credit card, it hurts your score. So you're damaging 40% of your credit score just by getting any account that reports on your personal credit report. And you have to be leery of anybody that makes you provide a social or pulls your personal credit. If a company like Capital One for a Spark card requires this, then there's a very good indicator that you're going to see the credit report here when you really want the credit to be reported here. Business credit, guys, has to be very intentional. You have to bump into consumer credit. You go to check out at Target, they offer you a 20% discount if you get the credit card. Most of what you do reports to the consumer reporting agency. 97% of trade vendors do not report to the business credit reporting agency. Most people don't even know you can leave the Social Security number off an application for Staples and get approved. So you have to know what you're doing here. If you don't, this credit is going to be guaranteed by you and report on your personal credit, which we do not want. /scope for those sessions to get set up with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. Remember, if you go to this site, creditsuite.com/reports, you're going to see a quick link to each of these guys. And if you type in your business name and they pull up your record, they have something on you, and you probably want to pull a full report to see what's there. If they don't know who you are. Once you've done this and you make sure you don't have any derogatory items, last week we talked about fixing credit if you did, then the next thing you do is what we're going to talk about today, getting what are called vendor accounts. Now, vendor accounts are not revolving credit accounts like we're used to. They're accounts that usually will give you terms like net 10, net 20, net 15, net 30, net 60, which means a net 60 account means you have 60 days to pay the full balance that's owed. So let's say you go to Quill and you buy $100 worth of office supplies and they give you a net 30 account. That means in 30 days, you need to pay off that entire $100 balance. That's what a net account is. That's what these vendor accounts will do. But the reason we want to do vendor accounts is because these guys I've listed here will do two things that are very important. They will give you credit even when you have none on your report already. Even if you have nothing on your business credit report, it's blank. These guys will still issue you credit. As a matter of fact, places like Uline and Quill won't even ask for a Social Security number on your application. How do you find net 30s? I'm giving you more than you need right now. They're very hard to find because the majority of them don't report. You can also go to youtube.com/credit suite, and we have a lot of webinars where we go through different kind of vendor accounts as well. I just mapped out a bunch of them on the webinar that we did yesterday, as a matter of fact. And if you're not getting notices of our webinars, go to creditsuite.com/Periscope. You'll get a free guide on building your business credit. We'll add you to get emails and notices when we go live on webinars, and we'll send you all kinds of emails that give you vendors and other sources. So these guys have two things in common that you need to know that's very important. One, they will give you credit when you have none. Even if this is blank, they will still give you credit without you needing to provide the social or this. And they also report this credit here on your business credit reports, not on your consumer credit reports. These guys are worth their weight in gold, okay? And I appreciate that. Thank you. Please subscribe. Please share. Please go crazy on the hearts. I appreciate the awesome information. So that's what's important. So these guys are very important. These guys are what you need to live and die by over the next 30 and 60 days. Because you get 5 of these guys. That's all you need. How does Wells Fargo secure credit card? I just missed your question. Go ahead and type it again. Upward, thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys all very much. Upward, thank you for sharing this. So, that being said, this is the Graceland,
right here. As we're going to talk about next week, when you get 5, that's what starts getting you store credit cards. That's what starts getting you these kind of approvals. This is the formula. You get 5 vendor accounts, then you can start getting store credit accounts, and then you start getting fleet and cash credit accounts. Visa, MasterCard. I'm going to show this whole process out to you on these scopes. Thank you guys for going crazy on the loves. That's awesome. It's filling up with hearts. I love it. So let's talk about these guys. Uline. Well, actually, let me go to my computer instead of the whiteboard, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about these guys. I'm even going to show you some of the approval process here. We actually went through on another live scope, and we actually showed you how to actually go through this. We even went through some of these and got approved. So let's go through some of these guys so you know what's what. I'm going to show you some actual approvals. Uline Shell shipping supplies. All kinds of stuff you could use here, guys. Labels, I mean, just about anything you could possibly imagine. If you type something in here, you're probably going to find it. How does Wells Fargo secure credit card differ to the vendor credit account? It's just another way. They report to the business credit reporting agencies, and it's like a normal secured credit card. So every vendor account I've shown you except for Wells Fargo, they're just going to give you credit. A secure credit card is a secure credit card. If you give them $100, they give you $100 worth of credit. Well, Uline, for example, will give you $100 of credit without giving them the $100. So a secure credit card for $100, you got to give them the $100 for them to let you use the $100. The benefit is that they report as a trade line. But places like I'm going to show you here with even spending the $100, okay? So putting the $100 on the card. So if I come here and I want a bulk container, let's say, and I'm just picking stuff that probably none of us would ever want, but okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to cart checkout. Then what happens is when I go to checkout here, they're going to give me the ability to apply for credit. Now, actually, let me see if I go to checkout and see if this will happen. I'm not signed in, so it shouldn't do this. I'm going to say new. It won't let me. I'm going to have to set up a new account, so that's not going to work. So if I went through their process to check out, then what's going to happen is they're going to give me the option of getting invoiced later. And if I choose invoice me, they won't ask for the social, okay? And what they'll do is they will then go ahead, process my order, and ship it to me without me providing anything. Here's what this looks like. So my first order with Uline, net 30, this is the term they gave me, was net 30. I ordered $50 worth of stuff. I ordered flashlights. So guys, just think about this for a second. You know, for example, Uline might sell shipping supplies and stuff you don't think you need, but I came in about flashlights. Everybody needs flashlights. So I got a flashlight for $50. They sent this to me right away. Again, without me even needing to provide any information to them. Okay, Quill is exactly the same way, but easier to use. Quill's easier to use because Quill sells office supplies. We all need office supplies. Like, there's no business that exists that can't buy office supplies with Quill. So let's say you come in here and buy, now Quill wants you to buy $50 worth of stuff to get reported. Let's say you buy toilet paper and soap, and this is the kind of stuff I really buy. That's why they're asking me to reorder. Sharpies, toilet paper for the office, soap, paper towels, Kleenex paper towel or hand towels. So let's say I come in and I order $50 worth of stuff and add it to my cart. Well, then when I go to checkout, they offer me the option of invoice me, and if I take that option, then what's going to happen is they're either going to send me a notice telling me they decline me, or they're going to send me something showing that they actually shipped my order. So this is when I first applied with them for the first time. This is when they came in and actually said that they shipped it, which means bingo. I got business credit because they actually shipped it the next day. You can see. So this is when I first ordered my first order with them. Okay, then right here, 10/21, the next day, they came in and shipped it without me paying them a dime, without me even supplying a credit card. So that's all I had to do was put the stuff in my shopping cart, check out. Awesome. They're phenomenal. Use them over Staples because they'll give you credit when Staples won't. So then the next day they notified me they shipped the product. Fantastic. I didn't pay them a dime and they went ahead and shipped the product. Then they mail me an invoice. I paid the bill on time or early, and that's what gives me a trade line. Uline, Quill, Monopolize Your Marketplace, Seton. Now when you look at some of these guys, for example, Seton.
Thank you guys for going crazy on the love. So Seton, for example, Seton, you would never think, and now Seton, we did on a live stream, we applied for Seton in front of everybody. We went through this entire process so everybody could see how it worked. Seton sells safety signs. Like, you look
and you're like, there's no way I'm going to buy something here. Which, first of all, by the way, I didn't even know you could buy safety signs at all. Look at this. This is crazy. You can literally come in here and buy signs, all kinds of actual road signs on here, which I didn't even know you could buy, but apparently you absolutely can buy all different kinds of street signs. This doesn't have any, but all kinds of stuff you can buy. Not stuff you think you'd need, right? So I looked and this is what I found that I could use, was first aid kits. Look at this. First aid kit products, first aid kits, everything you can imagine. Now, maybe you don't need a first aid kit. Who cares? By getting one here, they're going to give you a trade line to the business credit reports. So why not spend, not $315, that's a crazy first aid kit. That's like a freaking crazy one. $35, why not? You need it, especially if you have kids. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. I need first, and I got people in the office that get themselves hurt. So why not buy a first aid kit and get yourself a trade line? And what happens is when you, again, just like I said, if you put this in your cart, I'm going to go back here to this. If you go put this into your cart, then they send you this nice little welcome email. Here you go. Here's your welcome email. Okay, and then they also come in and then they actually ship it out. So the same day they went ahead and shipped it out. We thank everything you're compassionately doing for us all. Well, thank you very much, Credit by Creations. I appreciate that. So here's what it actually looks like. Now you can see, guys, I order from them all the time because they continue to give me credit. So you can see here, this is all actually, and this one's just even one day where they're communicating, letting me know I'm approved, letting me know they went ahead and shipped the product.
That is the process. In order to set up the initial 3 things you need, remember, you've got to have welcome. It's your first day on Periscope. Welcome. Usmin09, welcome. And BCOM04, welcome. So the key here is to get 5 accounts that report to the business credit reporting agencies. Do not provide your social security number on the application, forcing them to pull your business credit for approval. I'm going to give you use. Uline and Quill, we just looked at their websites. Monopolize Your Marketplace sells all different kinds of marketing products. I just showed you Seton's website. They sell a bunch of stuff. I buy first aid kits with Seton. Wells Fargo has a secure credit card. Granger, okay, Strategic Network Solutions. Gimpler sells outdoor stuff, but they're tougher to get approved for. They're going to want you to have some of these other guys reporting before Gimplers will approve you. So don't get frustrated if Gimplers denies you. Just use some of these other sources instead, and then Gimplers will ultimately turn around and approve you once they see some of these other guys report. You need 5 total accounts approved that are going to be reporting, and then you can actually come in and start getting store credit cards. Okay, so you need 5 accounts actually reporting in order to do this process. Once you have 5 accounts that are reporting, then you can come in and then you can actually start getting store credit cards, which is the next step. That's how the process of building business credit works. Now remember, one of the benefits is it has to be different accounts. Okay, can you imagine, regardless of how bad your consumer credit may be, getting this kind of credit? $15,000 credit cards, $20,000 credit cards, $40,000 credit cards, auto financing based strictly on your business credit quality. Guys, these are real approvals from people that follow us on our live streams. If you follow us on our live streams, you'll hear these people give us updates. As a matter of fact, the last stream, Christine just told us about her most recent approval of AutoZone for $2,000. So this is the kind of real business credit you can get if you follow these steps. That kind of credit, you have to apply and get approved for those vendors first, which, by the way, are up here too. Wells Business Secure Credit Card, do they require social? No, you can get the secure credit card that reports to the business credit reporting agencies without it being linked to your personal credit report. It's secured through Wells Fargo. So no, it's not linked to your social.
Mark got approved with Uline, $500, $1,500 with Quill, right? Granger, which I mentioned at $2,000. Seton at $500. No problem. Thanks for asking the question. You can see this process unfolding. Small approvals at the exact sources I told you. There's 4 of them right here. Then jumps up and starts getting high limit approvals at actual stores next. Then jumps up to fleet credit next. So you can see on these approvals. Now, Christine she got to us after she got those first vendor accounts. Then these are the approvals she started getting. And you can see she jumps pretty quick. $5,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 to $40,000 approvals. So that's what the process looks like. On real approvals. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you this process one more place. I'm not pulling any reports today because we did a lot of that last week. But what I will do is I will go ahead and show you some actual business credit reports so you can see what this process actually looks like on actual real business credit reports. Okay, so let me look and see if I can get this real quick. Okay, collections, okay, alerts, report manager. Okay, so let me show you what this process looks like on real business credit reports. Okay, so I'm going to show you a real business credit report, and then what we're going to do is we will then come in and give me a second here. I'm going to pull this up. I promise you it will be well worth it here. So let me go in. That's on page 3. Let me go to page 2. I want to find Mark and see if I can pull up his actual business credit report here, which I'm not exactly sure if I can. These are recent. So give me a second here. I promise it's going to be worth it. I'm just trying to look and see. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and just pull some and let's look at some actual credit reports. So let me pull up some reports and show you what this process actually looks like on real business credit reports. Let's see if I can find some examples here. Well, I'll show you the screen. So let's look at this thing, okay? And again, guys, I'm not pulling business credit reports. I pulled like 10 of them yesterday. Okay, so here's somebody that has no scores. Here's a credit profile and what it looks like when it's absolutely blank, where there's absolutely no credit that's reported whatsoever. Let's take a look at some of these so we can see. This person has no credit either. Let me see if I can just pull some people here that have some credit so we can see. This person has a low score, probably because there's derogatory items. So this is somebody that actually has a positive account, but they're 100% maxed out. So then that doesn't give them what they're looking for there. So let me go ahead and go here. Let me go to page 1. All right, so give me a second here. I'm going to pull this up. I want to try reports so you can actually see what this looks like. But I want to pull somebody that I know already has some established business credit. So I am here. I'm going to go ahead and just type it in here. Let me see. I am here. Okay. Let me see. I am here. And then I'll go ahead and pull this up. Okay. So let me go ahead and do this and look at this. Okay. So here is an example of how this process looks like in real time. Let me show you what this looks like. Somebody that actually has a business credit report that follows us here on Periscope and has let us use their information to use as an example. So here's the credit report to start with, right? These are small credit cards, net 30. Remember I told you vendor credit? Net 30. Look how small the balance limits are. $100, $200 limits, very small limits on these accounts. Then the person starts to jump to other credit accounts, $700 limit accounts, $400 limit accounts. Then the person starts to jump up to even higher accounts, $1,200, $1,800. Then they start to jump up to $4,000 accounts. This is what it looks like on a real credit report. This is actually Mark's credit report. So I just showed you his actual trade lines. These are his trades. Okay, you saw how he got started with these small guys. Then he jumps to big accounts. I'm going to show you on his credit report what it looks like. Here's his credit report. Now, he had some stuff on here that's not his, which is why the score is definitely lower than it should be, and I'm working with him to help him fix that. Is anybody else having audio issues? Teresa Kennedy says she can't hear me, so let me know. If anybody else can hear me or not hear me, let me know. Hopefully everybody's good. No. Okay, you're not having audio issues. Good, okay. So here's his credit report. He had some stuff on here that's not his. So because of it, his score was low. But you can see this, guys. He only was open, his date of incorporation was March of 2015. He's only been open for 2 years. He's already being recommended for $21,000 worth of credit by Experian, and it's all because of what I just showed you. I showed you his actual approvals, and this is important because your credit reports won't show you a company's name. They're only going to show you the industry or the category the company is in. But we can see what he did here. Small net 30 accounts to start, right here. Then made the jump to higher limit accounts, 500, 700. Then made a jump up to 1,200, 1,800. Then jumps up to $4,000. Here's real results on a real credit report. So this is why you guys should care. If you don't build your business credit, then what happens is they won't recommend you for any credit. They recommend you for $0 to $1,000. Then when you try to go get a loan or a credit card, this is the exact credit report, guys, that lenders pull. It's the exact one that lenders pull. This is what they see. A score, they see, that you don't have a lot of credit recommended for, and it affects your ability to get credit. But if you have a credit like Mark does, he's being recommended for high limits, and getting high limit accounts like this and getting all this kind of credit because he went through and built the initial trades, got the small vendors, jumped to higher limit vendors, then jumps to high limit revolving, and here's the actual results of his approvals. The last time he gave us an update, which is actually a couple months ago. He hasn't given us any updated approvals on here for a couple months ago. So I'm going to wrap this up. I started mapping this thing out on a whiteboard for you to see how this works. We then looked at real approvals customers are getting, and then I just showed you on business credit reports what this process looks like. So you can see on real reports how this actually unfolds. So if you missed any of this scope, or if you want to see our if you missed any of this scope, go to Periscope and replay it. If you want to see our past scopes, go to creditsuite.com/scope, and right there at creditsuite.com/scope, you can see our previous scope. Guide that maps out this process, go to creditsuite.com/Periscope and grab a guide. If you want us to give you a free copy of your business credit report and want to talk to us about us taking what could take you years to do and condense it to months, well then go to creditsuite.com/consult and we'll vendor credit like we talked about now to getting high limit store credit cards. I'm going to talk to you more about that. We'll look at more reports. I'll show you what this looks like, and I'm going to map out the steps to do that. If I started this, how many months should it take, sir? I appreciate the question. So the only thing that determines how long it takes you to build business credit, there's two factors. One, how much credit are you applying for? Meaning you need 5 accounts to get to fleet credit cards. You need 10, or to get store credit cards. You need 10 credit cards or 10 accounts reporting to get to fleet credit cards. Well, the first time you apply, how many accounts are you applying for? Are you applying for 5 the first month, or 10 or 15? How many accounts you apply for determines the time frame. Second, how long does it take those accounts to report? Some of the vendors will report every quarter. It could take 3 months for them to report. Others report every month, where in 30 to 60 days you can have their items report. So my advice is get as much credit as you can as quickly as you can, because that means you have more accounts that report faster. They report on an average of about 60 days. So I map out the time frame. This is very fast to get. Okay, let me get here. Here's the time frame. To get initial credit accounts, you can do immediately. You could do what I just showed you, getting this kind of credit right now when you leave this scope. It takes about 60 days for these guys here to report to these guys here. And within 60 days, these guys start to report here. And then when you have those 5, then that's when you can start getting store credit accounts. So it takes about 60 days to start getting to these kind of store credit cards. Then it takes about 60 days for those to report. So then you start to get fleet credit cards about 120 days, maybe 90 days completely into the process. So this credit, immediately, you can get it now. This takes about 60 days to report. Once you have 5 that report, then you can start to get these about 60 days later, sometimes sooner, sometimes longer, depending on how many credit accounts you got and how long it takes them to report. Then once you get 5 of these, and they report, then you can get to this. It takes about 60 days for them to report. So about 120 days total to start getting to fleet credit and cash credit if you followed the steps that I outlined.
Don't forget those resources. creditsuite.com/consult. We can expedite the process because you're going to run into hurdles if you do it on your own, but I'm here to help you along the way. Thanks. I love your whiteboard. Thanks. I appreciate that. If I have Chevron, BP, Valero, Quill, Granger, Seton, can I apply for Dell? Sure. If those are reporting, Dell is one of the easiest accounts to usually get on the revolving side, and they're notorious for giving you about $10,000 limit. But you need to make sure you have at least 5 accounts reporting to get to Dell. You sound like you have more than 5, so you should be good. So next week we talk about how to get high limit store credit cards, accounts that are revolving credit based on your EIN credit only without providing your social security number. I look forward to seeing you there. It throws my whole scope off. She should know that I do these. I've done like 30 of them now for like months. At this time, 4 o'clock Eastern time next week on Periscope, I'm going to map out store credit. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. Can you apply at the gas stations? You absolutely can. So I will map that out next week. How to start getting approved for revolving credit accounts that report on your business credit, that are based on your business credit, that don't require a personal credit check. 4 o'clock Eastern time next week on Periscope. We're going to dive in. In the meantime, check out the links. creditsuite.com/consult to talk with us more, get a free credit report. creditsuite.com/scope to access our past Periscopes. creditsuite.com/periscope to actually get a 4-step guide that maps out the steps to building business credit. I look forward to talking to you all next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.